So hello and welcome back to the new video of the Postman tutorial series. So in our previous video we have talked about the HTTP protocols and HTTP codes, and now for in this video we will be talking about the get and post uh, method call that you give through Postman in depth. Okay, so first of all let us see what is get and post. Okay, so while the HTTP post method is used to send the data to a server to create or update a resource. Okay, so when we use the post method, when we want to send a particular data to the server and want to create or update any kind of means any kind of creation or deletion update or the updation part that you want to do inside your server through the client side, then in that case you send the post request, right? The HTTP GET request is used to request a data from a specified resource and should have no other effect. Okay, so what when we use the GET method, when we want to fetch a data from a server and put it inside a client UI, that means when we call that this app.diagrams.net, it will go to the server and it will fetch the entire that file. It is a get method and it fetch and it displays that file is given back to my browser, and browser will render the HTML, CSS and JavaScript for that file. Okay, so that I can see that entire page in a well formatted manner with CSS applied. Okay, so that is the get method, and HTTP post request provides the additional data for that data from the client to the server message body. Okay, so as we discussed, post method creates or updates a resources. For that you have to send a data with that post method or the request through that network. Okay, so for this video we will be using one API, that is free API, dummy API, which is recres.in, response.in. Okay, so this is the test your front end against a real API. So this is a dummy API. All the fake data is being put it inside this API. The responses you will get are the real ones. Means it looks like real, and it is always on 24/7. You can access this API anytime, anywhere. Okay, and now yeah, here you can see their documentation is there. They have given the various calls that you can make to this API, that is Recres API. The get call, the post call, the put call, the patch, delete, and so these are the various calls that you can make to this API. And they are also told you various get calls like list user, single user, if you want to display the single user that is being there inside this API. Okay, and you want to list the users, then in that case what will be your means the request that you sell, what will be the request and what will be the response code. If everything is okay, then you should get a response code of 200. So this is the documentation for this, and you can see there are users they have mentioned over here. And if you want to support them, you can also support the Recres by clicking over here, and you can donate them some bucks. Okay, so let me just go ahead and open up my Postman. We'll see in this video what is get and post request. We'll make one request to this Recres API and try to understand how the get and post works, right? So this is our previous video API, or let me just save changes. Yeah, so it is there inside the deck of cards API. We have tested one API deck of cards in our previous videos. If you haven't watched that, go and watch that first. Okay, so now let's get into the video and create our first get and post request to the Recres API. Okay, so for first let me just give you. Okay, so there are multiple get requests that you can give to this API, right? So what we'll be doing, we'll be seeing a list of users and single users. Okay, so let me click on the list users. You can see what will be my request. Here you can see if I click on this, you can see it will go into the new tab, and you can see recres.in/API/users, and after the question mark, whatever you write, those are the query parameters. We do have one separate video on the query parameter as well. in upcoming videos we'll see that one as well, but for time being now, just to understand you, the slash API slash users is the resource that we are trying to fetch, and after the question mark whatever they have written, those are the query parameters, right? So what we are telling this API is, go to this endpoint, fetch me this API slash users resource and put the query parameter as page 2. Okay, so if I click on page 1, if I want to get the page 1, if I, as soon as I write one page 1 and if I and hit enter, so you can see it is giving me the raw data, but I have one extension installed in my PC, that is JSON Viewer Pro. You can also get it from the Chrome extensions. What it will do is, whenever it gets the JSON object, it will prettify it, or it will show you in a well formatted manner like this. If you don't want that, you can just turn off your this JSON Viewer Pro, turn off it, and you will see the default JSON object. Okay, and you can also see the chart for this, the like response, or then per page, total page, like that. So it is a very good extension. You can also install in your PC. Okay, a Chrome browser, and you can go. Okay, so now if I write get back to 2, yeah, page number 2, there are many users, the ID 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So yeah, it's working fine. So now we go ahead and get this URL and paste it in our, what we can say, Postman. Okay, so let me copy this. I go into my Postman, I will paste my URL, and as soon as I paste, you can see query parameters get updated, because after question marks, what is the key? Key is my page, and what is the value? 2 is my value. Okay, and since it is a get request, so I will select the get from this drop down, and I will hit enter. Sorry, send, and you can see a same kind of response I get from here, that I am getting over here as well. Okay, so same kind of response the Postman given to me, and that too as a status of 200. Okay, so you can see they also mention, if everything is fine, you should get the response as 200. Okay, and let me go ahead and give the page as 1. So it will list down the number of users, or the users that belongs to page 1, like 1 2 3 4 5 6. Those 6 members are belong to the page number 1. Okay, so this is the first get request that we have made. Now if you want to print or the get the single user, right, not print, get, then in that case they do have this uh, request.in slash API slash user. Now in this time you don't put any query parameter, you just write /2. That indicates that you want to retrieve the user that whose ID is 2, right? So we will go ahead and just copy that URL. Okay, let me just copy this URL. Okay, wait, let me just copy. Okay, and we will go inside our Postman, just paste this and hit send. Yeah, the same output you will get. You will get the entire data for the user whose ID is 2, like their email, their first name, their last name, their avatar. Okay, so everything you got from here. Okay, so this is about the get request get method. Okay, now we will see one example of the post as well. So as I told you, post is used for the updation or creation of new user inside your server, or anything that you want to create a new. Okay, so yeah, for this API they do have one post method, that is create method, and they do have their own you can see request.in slash API slash users. So this will give me the whole list of the users that those are there here, and by default it will show me the page number 1, and per page 6 users are there. You can see 6 users are there, and total 12 pages, total pages 2 are there, and these are the information. And now since this is a post method, as I told you, you have to pass one one or more query parameters that they ask, or the input to that. Like, assume if you are filling up a form like a login form, there you have to give your username and password, and you hit the submit button, right? So in that case, your username and password should have been passed over the network to through the API to the server, so that server can authenticate that yes, you are the authenticated person for that website, and server will in response give you the dashboard access of your account. Okay, so in that case, uh, we do have to pass these many parameters to the API in order to get the post request called. Okay, so let me just go ahead and copy this URL, and we will go inside our Postman, and we will paste this URL over here. And now, since we want to create a new user inside inside our server, then we have to make our uh, uh, call change our method as post method. And now as I said you, these many parameters this API is asking us to give it to it. And now if we go here, now to pass these many parameters, since this is a JSON object, you have to pass that. Now you just go here, I click on the body, click on the raw, and instead of text, check on the JSON for JSON. Okay, so now you go ahead and get this object, control C, and just put down your object over here, and you can change anything. Okay, so uh, I can name it as Alan, and the job is worker, maybe. Okay, so this is the data that I am passing to the API over this endpoint, and through, and the call is of method post method. Okay, so when I hit enter, okay, so you can see it is telling me that 201 created. So you can see what is saying, the request has been fulfilled and resulted in a new resource being created. Okay, so what is the resource? The name is Alan, the job is worker, and ID is automatically getting created by the API and created at the time of which time at which this this user get created inside their server. Okay, and here also you can see you should get the 201 response code if everything is working fine, and this users will get added inside the server over this post method. Okay, so this is how the post method works, and get method works in Postman. And you can use these recres.inf and play around it, and try to get the get and post method is and try to learn it. Okay, so in our upcoming videos we will see put, patch, and delete, how we can to perform these operation put, patch, and delete using this recres.in dummy API. Okay, so thank you for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.